listening to Wake Up Hollywood with Nikki Korula and Eddie Pence, right here on LA Talk Radio.
The most Nikki Korula. We're going to jump right into this interview, the first in-studio interview of 2024. We have a very special songwriter and guest, Mr. Samuel OK. How are you?
Pretty good today. Thank
you,
man.
Yeah. It's good to see you, bro. Yeah. I'm going to have you move a little closer so we can hear you a little bit better. Yeah, man.
Better?
Yeah,
okay.
That's much better.
All right.
So how you doing?
All right.
I know you had a crazy day today.
Yeah.
And now we get to talk about your music, which has been a pleasure for me to produce. And it's been an honor. So I'm excited. But let's go way back. What was the moment of zen that made you want to become a musician and a songwriter?
Well, I think it was the first time I heard pop music, rock and roll music at the time. I had an older sister, 5 years older than me. And this was the fall of 1966. There was a new television series. It was called The Monkees.
Yeah.
And she watched the show, and so did I. And she bought all the records, so the music was playing constantly in the home, and I just really loved it. I just really fell in love with it, having not known at that time that it was instigated by the Beatles. And their success. I was not at that time very familiar with the Beatles' music.
Oh, really? The Monkees were before the Beatles for you?
No, yeah, for me.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's so cool is it's a piece of pop culture because it was an iconic TV show. And then I think it actually had a bigger life after it was off the air because in re-syndication, it just became even more popular because I used to watch it and loved that show so much and loved their music. They wrote some great tunes, had some great harmonies. So was it the music that gravitated to? Was it all of it? Was it just the TV show, the characters that they were becoming, on the television?
I don't really remember paying much attention to the characters in particular, but it was kind of a silly comedy meant for younger kids, but there were some deeper meanings within. If you go back and watch it now, you'll see that there was some pretty heady stuff going on in the script writing that people aren't aware of sometimes. They think it's just a silly kids show, but it actually goes deeper than that, I think. That's my opinion. And what I noticed was that they just seemed to be having fun. And the first time, it was the fall. Yeah, the show premiered in the fall of '66. And I don't think I actually said it to myself in these words, but I think I just some kind of felt it in my 6-year-old soul. That the first time I saw Mickey Dolenz on TV playing drums and singing rock and roll, I just knew this guy was having fun. And I don't think I maybe didn't see it then, but something kind of
resonated.
Yeah. I look back now, you know what? When I saw him singing, he was having so much fun.
That's awesome because for me, I think it was Back to the Future when I first saw Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox playing Chuck Berry's, what was the song? It was Go Johnny Go.
Yeah.
And just having that moment. It was like, I think what's cool about it is you get like a visual feel and then you get an audio feel, an oral feel. And it's like all of a sudden it matches and it resonates. You're seeing and hearing the same thing. And it's like, whatever this is, I want to be a part of it, So what was the first Monkees record or the first song that you just fell in love with?
Well, the first Monkees album was the theme song was the first track on that album. Then the second song right after that was written by I believe he was not known at the time, David Gates, who later became David Gates and Brad, who wrote Baby I Want You. And
I didn't know that.
He wrote the song called Saturday's Child. And the song was just fantastic. And the drums, the first two albums on them, all the instruments were played by the Wrecking Crew. So you had Hal Blaine playing the drums on this Saturday's Child.
I didn't know any of that.
Magnificent. Yeah.
The Wrecking Crew were playing on the Monkees records?
Oh, yeah.
That's so awesome.
The first two albums were that. or the Wrecking Crew. Yeah.
And then did you start, going back to Beatles records? What was the first record that you remember buying that wasn't your sister's record?
It was that. I mean, I'd have some vague memories of seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan for the first time in early '64. I don't remember much. I was 4 years old at the time. I just turned 4 a couple months before that. And I just remember there was 3 guys in the front, there's a drummer in the back, and the guy in the middle had really hollow cheeks. It turned out I didn't know it was George Harrison. He had that kind of exotic look, kind of. And that's all I know.
That's crazy. That's so awesome that you saw that. Yeah. That must have been a thrill, because that's the moment that, the English invasion started. It was like, okay, this is, and you know what's really interesting? It's like, I think it was post Kennedy, right? Getting shot. And that's what made it like, it's such a weird, phenomenon that it became so big. But a lot of people don't realize it was like, it hit America after America just had their president shot. And then to have this music take over and just feed the whole nation with the sense of pop, rock, melodies, good songs, good hooks, guitar playing, everybody's harmonizing. It must have been a thrill. Yeah, optimism
was very much in need. Commodity in early '64 here.
I kind of feel like we still need that. That'll never go out of style. But I mean, it's really interesting when you see how much pop culture plays into society's emotional state. So it's so awesome. So you got into the Beatles. What other groups were you into at the time?
Well, I just want to say before we go on is that it turns out that Mike Nesmith, one of the members of the Monkees, the principal songwriter of the 4 that wrote songs, he wrote some great ones, by the way. He was from Dallas, grew up in Dallas, and left Dallas the year after the assassination, and with his wife and son, and moved out. Turns out he just got the right breaks. So he ended up as the MC of the open mic they had at the Troubadour.
Wow.
And then 2 years later, he's an international rock star and TV star.
That's so crazy.
2 years he did that too. So anyway,
and when did you pick up the guitar? Like, do you remember when a guitar was given to you or an instrument was given to you?
Well, actually, the way it worked is that my older sister, again, she had an old guitar around the house that she never played anymore. She played it for a while, but then it was just around the house, and a nylon string guitar.
That's what I started on. I started on that. And my dad had one that he was in a group in college, and then he bought a guitar and just never really used it. And I was the one that was like, hey, can I use this? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. That's amazing. So your sister was a major influence on your musical upbringing.
Oh yeah. And she she wasn't playing it anymore, so I would just kind of pick it up and play the different frets. And another thing that made me like was coming from a musical family, and my mother was a fantastic pianist, and her aunts and uncles were musicians and always in orchestras.
Wow.
And her father, my grandfather, was a professional organist, and for a while was playing with Lawrence Welk's orchestra.
Wow.
So
you had music in the veins.
Before the TV age, of course. But he was with Lawrence Welk.
Do you remember the first song you learned to play on guitar?
Yeah, I think I did. It was that's what it was. I noticed I went to church camp a few times in the early '70s.
Right.
I noticed other kids were playing guitar like around the campfire.
That's awesome.
And the one that really caught my ear was They Call the Wind Mariah.
Huh.
Have you heard that?
No, I don't know that song.
Who did? Someone did a great version. A baritone did a great version of that. Oh, it's a great song.
I'll have to listen to that.
I don't know who wrote it, if it's from a musical or what.
And then somebody taught it to you, like a friend taught it to you or something?
Yeah, I guess so. Something like that. One of the kids at camp showed me how to do that. Back to my mom and her side of the family with the music thing. She would always be playing piano. She had the typical music books or the sheet music. So for voice, piano, and guitar chords, right?
That's awesome.
So she played the melody and the piano work. And I get the graph, the 6 string, and learn how to learn some basic chords, and from that,
the tablature.
I never did tablature
okay,
that much. It's still kind of confusing.
Oh, so you just took the chords basically, the chord charts of it.
Yeah, and so I learned some good chords because one thing I asked my mom to do for one birthday or Christmas in the early '70s was a book, a Beatle book, a book of Beatle sheet music full of their songs, of their songs. And so I think the first one she gave me was called Beatlemania 1963 to 66.
Wow.
And there were some great chord changes. Lennon and McCartney were great with chord changes.
Yep.
And, some music historians and critics at the time compared their songwriting to the greatest songwriters since Schubert.
You know what's crazy is I had a roommate who had a girlfriend. Now it's his ex-girlfriend, but she brought a Beatles book in. And what I noticed when I was looking at other Beatles songbooks is some of the chords and some of the actual notes are not correct. So I looked in her book and learned Let It Be, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually the correct notation, correct music. And I still have that book. I stole it from her. And it's like, I'm not giving this back. This thing is like unbelievable. But now, you can get all those songs so easily. But it's weird because you'll see books like Beatles for Beginners, or you'll see like, easier versions or not accurate versions. And it's still like that online. You'll have so many versions that are not accurate. So do you remember your first Beatles song that you learned?
No, but it just occurs to me I should mention that the intro to Michelle on Rubber Soul.
Yeah.
I don't think that can be played on one guitar.
Oh, really?
Because
they had, I think George and John played it, right?
No, it was a Paul song. And it was an acoustic guitar, I think. And it was just, I remember taking a guitar class years ago, and it just couldn't be done. I don't know. Maybe they could because they were the Beatles. And
yeah,
they were not.
They were pretty magnificent. It was just like amazing how they changed pop culture and music in general. So you started learning Beatles songs. When did you start writing songs?
16. I was 16 years old. But what happened I didn't start listening to Beatles, didn't get my first Beatle record until 3 years after they broke up.
Wow.
It was, something that made me curious about them. I'd always been a Monkees fan. And it was the first album. Oh, my God, it was, my mother and me were shopping at a store in August, 73, I believe it was. And school clothing and stuff like that. And we went to kind of moseyed on over to the record section. They're LP in those days.
Right.
And the first one I got was the Beatles, Yesterday and Today. And they had them sitting on a chest upright. And so awesome. Because it was the cleaner version of the Butcher cover.
Right.
The Capitol it had.
Right.
And it wasn't an English release on Parlophone. It was a Capitol Butcher job.
And did you remember like going through it and just being like enamored, like, oh my God, this music is
the songs on that the song opened with Drive My Car.
Yep.
One
of the best songs.
Yeah.
They just wrote great pop tunes. I still listen to them like, man, these are still great songs. Like I don't listen to modern pop music as much because it's just not as well written to me.
And also it's like Andrew Bird Can Sing was on that,
great
and
song.
Dr. Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some really good. Yesterday was on that, of course. Hence the title.
I've never heard of that. No, I'm just kidding. Well, so you started writing when you were 16. Yeah. And you kind of started. Did you get in a band or anything early on?
No, not really. I talked about it a little bit with people here and there. The one little in my later teens, I was hanging out with some guys at the church I was going to at the time in a town called Sunnyvale. And yes, it's it just nothing ever really lasted very long. Couldn't keep we just weren't on the same page musically.
It's hard. It's
other
hard
things
to find
going
people.
on,
It's hard to find people that have the same vision as you as an artist. It's like it takes time. But did you start singing? Were you like taking choral classes or singing lessons?
Not at the time. The first time I really took a choral class was late 1978, 79. I was going to a boarding school in the Midwest and for a year and a senior year of high school. And it was very interesting. I just sang the way I would normally sing, and the voice teacher, she said I sound a lot like Bob Dylan.
Oh, that's cool.
But I didn't think it was cool because like Bob Dylan sings like he's 80,000 years old or something.
Well, Bob Dylan though is like, especially then, was such an icon. So that's a huge compliment because he was such a prolific songwriter and such a huge force of nature, for people who love music, especially folk, Mm-hmm. So I think it's a compliment because he's like one of the best writers and singer-songwriters around,
And some people refer to him as the rock and roll Shakespeare.
Right.
And I can't say I have much of an argument there.
Yep.
But he did say something about two of the people, like the ballad we're going to play. It's the ballad we're going to play first, I believe.
Yep.
Dear Man. he did say something about two amazing composers at that era. And he said that Brian Wilson's ear belongs in the Smithsonian.
I agree.
And he also said at that, and this was years ago, he said Smokey Robinson is the greatest living American poet.
I would agree with both.
You look at some of the rhymes that he came up with, like Public and Subject and Tears of a Clown. I mean,
well, and it's also interesting. He wrote a song, My Guy, and then My Girl, and thinking, okay, we wrote My Guy and it hit, and then My Girl was an even bigger hit. It's like, man, this is crazy that he wrote both these huge Motown hits
in the same year.
I know. He's pretty unbelievable. But let's talk about you. So now you've made your first record, and you have gone through this rite of passage. We're going to open with the song Be Your Man. Tell me what this song kind of meant to you when you were writing it, and tell me what it was, that feeling of recording it for you.
Well, the recording was the first time I'd actually been in a studio putting down a song like that. And but as far as writing the song and what the song is about, it was, remember I'd written it back in like the late 90s, I think in 1997, actually in a rehab.
Wow.
I was very, very depressed. And so what I did, I think, I don't know if Brian Wilson said this too, but that he wrote happy songs because he just didn't feel happy all the time. And that was my case as well.
Yeah.
And I just wanted something to cheer me up. And I always wanted to have that kind of a love relationship like the one that's described in the song, or hoped for in the song, actually, not described, but hoped for and still hoped for. And well,
let's play it.
All right.
Here's Samuel OK with Be Your Man.
Carriage ride for two, I'll only go with you, all through the park, long after dark. Give me your hand, I'll be your man. You needn't be afraid. This isn't masquerade. If you're unsure, be as you want. Give me a try, and I'll be your guide. When I first saw you, somehow in my heart I just knew you were the answer to my prayer. Now I see the way that things were meant to be. Two of us living a love we can share. Everywhere, let's go out to the sea. Forget it was the peace. Kiss on the stand, walk along and try and be cold, but I'll be your boss. Kiss on the stand, walk along and try and be cold, I'll be your boss. I'll be your guy, I'll be your man.
Very nice. What a beautiful song. What a cool ballad. Very much a Beatles and Monkees type of ballad, and maybe Beach Boys, right?
Yeah, well, not more than maybe Beach Boys. It was like kind of patterned after Surfer Girl.
Okay, yeah,
Kind of
that makes
same
total
kind
sense.
of tempo and the modulated final verse kind of thing. So
It's cool because it's like, when I'm in the moment sometimes when I lay down a guitar part or even the background vocals or even just in the process. It's like you're in the trenches and you're in the song, and it's so nice to hear it later because you get perspective, and it's just a well-crafted song, lyric, vocal. I love all the parts. I love all the production. It was just a really easy song to do because it's like when the song is crafted well, it makes it easy to produce because the song just lends itself to just like finding the right parts and everything. So tell me what it was like when you heard the first finished version of this song.
I don't think I heard. Did I hear it on an actual system like this? Or was it
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
phone?
I think I remember you sitting. Andre would always like put you in the cockpit and have you listen to like the when you hear all the parts, and then we send you all the mixes and stuff. But that feeling must have been cool because this was your first time recording ever. Tell me what that feeling was like.
Yeah, it was incredible. I didn't expect that I would have a song that would be so well produced at this stage of my career down here. Moving down here to LA about 3 years ago from San Jose, and home of the Doobie Brothers.
That's right.
Way. Yeah. And anyway, yeah, and I just didn't think that I would be able to do this because I happened to run into the right people,
right.
Mainly you.
Well, no, I appreciate it. It's like, so, one of the things I love about producing is like, I know how special it is to record a record, any record. It doesn't matter if it's your ninth, your first, but the first one's really special. So whenever anybody asks me to produce the first one, I'm like, man, that's such a huge honor. And it was such a great song. I also love your songwriting because I'm way into the 60s, songwriting, folk, rock, pop scene of that era because it's some of the music I still listen to and am influenced by. What I love is like your song is like a modernized version of a time capsule 60s song. Tell me about like that time period for you, how influential it was that you could write something like that in that style now.
You mean what that time period was when I was back there living it?
Yeah. Like it was obviously a very special period of music and time for you because you kind of took that approach when we made the first one. And I love that because I love throwback songs that have a modern twist,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all your kind words, Nikki. Especially coming from a Grammy winner. That's
well, you're a badass. I mean, you write great songs. What's really cool is you have a lot of changes, which is rare in these days. A lot of writers today just forget about chord changes and they're trying to reach trends, and it's like none of that matters. It's like a song that's well written is always going to be trendy. You know what I mean? Because it has changes and production and vocals and lyrics that speak to people.
That's why, one of my songs is called The Changes. I don't know if you heard it or not.
I have heard it, yeah.
Okay. I don't think you've recorded it yet, though.
So tell me about your writing style. Like, since you love the 60s and you love chord changes, tell me how that has influenced your songwriting.
Well, I learned a lot from Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys, Beatles. There's just something about some of the early Beach Boys stuff. Like, there's some great. It's a couple albums before the Pet Sounds album is called Beach Boys Today, and there's some really great material on that.
What are some of the songs on that?
She Knows Me Too Well.
Okay,
it's a great one.
Yep.
Please Let Me Wonder.
Yep,
it's another great one. Also, Kiss Me Baby is probably one of my favorite tracks of. Maybe the favorite Beach Boy track I have.
I need to listen. Like I've always listened to like greatest hits of besides Pet Sounds, greatest hits of the Beach Boys. Just because it was like such a different time, like I wasn't listening to records, but I need to listen to records of them front to back because I just haven't done that other than Pet Sounds.
There's an early song they did called "The Girls on the Beach." It's crazy. The chord changes are insane, and the harmony is just
I just love that they're so influenced by Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly. Like all those are
such freshmen.
Yeah. There's just such great songwriters. You know what I mean? So it's just I love when songwriters are influenced by great songwriters. You're influenced by a bunch of great songwriters. Who do you think, if you had a tribute to one songwriter would it be Brian Wilson?
I don't think I can say just one because there's also a guy, another guy, his name is John Sebastian. His band is 11 Spoons. Well, he had some amazing stuff. He was writing some incredible things at 19, 20 years old. But one, I did see a live performance by Mr. Sebastian in San Diego County years ago, and
wow,
he said that the way he came to write, he says, people always ask me, how did you write your band's first hit, Do You Believe in Magic? And he goes, well, I'll tell you, I heard about a year before I wrote that, I heard of another song with the same chord changes, and I thought that the chord changes weren't as fast, and John said to the audience, he goes, and I just thought if I played the chords twice as fast, it would sound twice as cool.
Huh.
Now, I don't know if it's twice as cool because what the song that he's talking about is Holland Dozier Holland's Heat Wave, that Martha and the Vandellas, 1963,
Love
big hit,
yep.
Big cover for Linda Ronstadt in the 70s. And yeah, so Holland Dozier Holland, I would have to say, would be right up there. Brian Wilson, Holland Dozier Holland, John Sebastian, Lennon McCartney, and don't forget Curtis Mayfield.
Oh, yeah. What an eclectic group of artists that you're influenced by. I mean, you have a little bit of soul, a little bit of pop, a little bit of rock. Mm-hmm. That's very, very cool.
And also, you can't forget about Sly and the Family Stone, because they're like the bridge between pop and funk.
Yeah,
they are funk, but the Hot Fun in the Summertime, that's like a pop song in a way, but it's funky, and it's the chord changes in that are crazy. It's on a C major, and they go to E flat, and
they were doing crazy things, making longer pop songs, that made it to radio and kind of changed and documented a time period too. So
and also talked about some issues of the day, and that The Stand was a great song about, it's about courage, man. Stand, right. They will try to make you crawl. It doesn't make sense at all. So
yeah. I love that you did like a throwback lyrical sense too. It's like you could tell like you were influenced by early Beatles, you were influenced by early Beach Boys with how you wrote. So I love that you kind of took that approach. Were you reading certain things, reading lyrics? Like, what was it that made you want to write words in this capacity?
Well, those are the early Beatles albums, and there's a certain kind of, I don't know what it was, some kind of innocence or something, or just generally, I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on what it was, but just kind of a passionate kind of wanting to be with someone. And later on, I mean, I like all their music is great, but I'd really go for the early stuff, really.
Right.
Till Rubber Soul. I think Rubber Soul is the real turning point, as well as Revolver, of course. But people say, Sgt. Pepper's their favorite Beatles.
For me, it's Revolver. It's always been Revolver.
Yeah, for me, it's always been Rubber Soul.
Those are the two. Those are the two.
I was thinking about the other day. I don't know what my favorite album is, Rubber Soul or A Hard Day's Night. And some people don't know it, but A Hard Day's Night was the first album where they actually wrote all their own material.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because then Beatles for Sale after that, they did a bunch of covers because they were touring. They didn't have time to write.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's play your second song in a bit, but let's talk about it for a second.
Okay.
Lay It Down is the title. Mm-hmm. Tell me about what was the inspiration behind it.
Well, actually, it's the inspiration turned out to be, I mean, it started crafting this song musically back in the 98, 99. Just came up with the final lyrics just actually the morning we did the recording. So,
wow, I didn't know that. You did?
Yeah.
I remember you said that. You said you were finishing them.
Yeah, but I wrote the second verse of the night before, the third verse before. 2 hours later, we're in the studio.
That's crazy. That's sometimes that pressure is what's good,
Yeah, I've tried to get the lyrics and the right title for this song for 25 or more years. And just in a day, and I couldn't believe it. Anyway, it's just about life stuff. We got stuff that keeps us down,
Yeah.
The past, whether it's, I don't know, some just illness or trauma or, whatever, or broken home, whatever the case is. There's a lot of, I was just thinking the other day, if someone is on this planet and they got a pulse, they got problems, man.
Right.
There's just no escaping it. But like, what am I going to do? Well, express it.
What's really cool too, when you did the scratch vocal and the rhythm guitar track, I just had that guitar line echoing in my head like right away. It doesn't usually happen for me, like when a part comes like that strong. Like sometimes I have to fish a lot to figure out what I wanted, but as soon as you laid it down, I was just hearing this like total 60s guitar part that just came to me right away. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my God, I gotta lay this down. You know what I mean? So well, let's play it. Here's Lay It Down by Samuel O'Kay.
can be rocky and so long, but that ain't gonna stop me from singing my song. Sent to me from way up on high. I know we all had the blues, based upon whatever triggers or cues. Still I'm gonna let my spirit fly. Lay it down, your burden belongs on the ground. Just drop it and then turn around, or walk on to a new life found. Let it go, the path won't change, don't you know? So don't let it hang you so low, and don't join no status quo. Some think they know what we're about, enjoying opportunities to fill us with doubt, and I won't let the suspicion win. I believe we can fortify, insist on the best without compromise. Where we go defines us, not where we've been. Lay it down, your burden belongs on the ground. Just drop it and then turn around, or walk on to a new life found. Let it go, the path won't change, don't you know? So don't let it hang you so low. Don't join no status quo. Can't you see, you and me have been conditioned by society. You and I don't buy the lie that life is just mediocrity. Welcome to a choice brand new, as we shuffle along down the avenue, feeling sweet and so unashamed. No fear, chin up, shoulders back. There ain't no talent that we lack. Our splendor hasn't been ordained. Lay it down, your burden belongs on the ground. Just drop it and then turn around, or walk on to a new life found. Let it go, the path won't change, don't you know? So don't let it hang you so low, and don't join the status quo. No, no, no.
Yeah. Speaking of laying it down, I want to shout out to my rhythm section, Andre De Santana on bass, Adam Gust on drums. Man, I love Andre and Adam's pocket. It's just so crazy.
That's what makes two of us.
Yeah, it's so easy to listen to and also play over, you know. You did something that was really cool for me. I remember I played like a kind of like a really cool little bit of a noodly solo, but it was like a really cool solo, and you were like, man, I'd love it to be like a little bit like streamlined and less notes. And I was like, all right, let me try and do something a little bit more melodic. And it forced me to shift my gears to play something more part oriented. And it's such a cool solo. It's just such a different solo than I usually would play. And it was such a great part for me to kind of like, all right, let's do that. And I love the solo. The solo, you kind of shaped that. So thank you for kind of putting a different hat on me to kind of force me to do something different, you know? So tell me what that song was like hearing that back for the first time.
Yeah, it just sounded like something that was kind of meant to be. It wasn't just us. I felt like there was something kind of some higher spiritual force or something just kind of like, I think the message that I don't even think I wrote it myself. I think something else did, and I was just there as an
instrument,
stenographer instead of a stenograph. I had a guitar instead.
I think great art is usually made like that. It's like you're just there as a witness. You know what I mean? It's like it's really cool when songs can flow out like that because it's rare and it doesn't always happen. You know, when it's usually a lot of people get stifled by the process, but that when a song can just flow like that, it's just such a cool vibe. You know,
when I heard that Brian Wilson said that he knew that some higher force was with him when he was composing Pet Sounds. And,
I believe it.
Yeah, and it's just something's going on that.
And you had a goal too to get your songs out by the end of the year. You have 4 songs out with the 5th one coming out that we're going to play next, an unreleased song. You know, what's cool about this is it's one of my favorite songs you've written, and it's just such a throwback, like almost like a Motown-y kind of vibe. Tell me about this song, "The Miracle of You." Tell me what inspired it.
Well, I guess I was fiddling around with the guitar. I was in G major, and I was playing the A minor 7 and then a D, and kind of get a little riff going. And then I played it that way for a while. Then I came up with words after a while in the chorus and lyric verses. And then later on, I decided, wait a minute, if they play this here down in first position, I had this other thing on the fifth fret where I was playing A minor 7th as well, and then D. And yet it was like 2 played together. It's like it's more solid or more well-rounded. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it's, play 2 simultaneous things on different instruments or the same chords at a different part on the guitar. It kind of melded well.
And I loved your opening riff. Tell me how you came up with that.
Yeah, I guess I originally had a longer one, opening riff, and then that was going to be the end of that riff. And then it was Andre that day in the studio said, well, we could start with just that riff and then go into the regular part of the song, the beat. And I was playing too fast at first, and we slowed down the riff to match, because that's what it was. The riff that I had was not the same time signature as the rest of the song. So Andre's suggestion was to make the riff the same time signature as the rest of the song, so that everything would flow more smoothly.
Well, it's so cool because it almost sounds like a Chris Isaac, Morrissey kind of vibe on the guitar sound. And it like kicks the door open for the whole song, because it's like you could start a song the way you do and it could go a completely different direction. And then it just turns super positive, happy, melodic, just like really great. I mean, the production on it was awesome, but the song, it also, like all of your songs have been so easy to work on because they're constructed well. It's easy to produce a song that is constructed well. So I love that you came up with that riff and we made it adjusted. We adjusted it so it would fit and work right. But let's play it.
You know what? Also, I just before we go, I listened to it. I heard Adam, the drummer, is coming in right before the regular part of the song started. It's just he has the knack. It's no wonder he's probably the best working session drummer in LA right now.
He is a badass drummer. One of my favorite drummers. He's been my drummer for 19 years for that reason. Wow. Because he's just one of the best.
I believe it.
But let's play it. Here's Samuel OK with "The Miracle of You."
You and me, what a fantasy. Love runs free, touches everything we see. Wants to say something sent you my way, and if you stay, the sun shines brighter every day. I had room enough for 2. So glad you're you. Do whatever you want to. Climb downstairs into my arms, we'll share. You ask, is love rare? And I just say, au contraire. The miracle of you is that your love is true. All the things I do, I never have to do them blue. We were meant to be together. know, freedom ain't cheap, just like what you mean to me. The miracle of you is that your love is true, darling. With all the things I do, I never have to feel that blue. We were meant to be together, here today and forever, yeah. We were meant to be together, here today and forever, yeah. We all need love, the kind that is enough. You're the one, you are all I'm thinking of. So nice to hear angels sing when you appear. In faith or fear, I just gotta have you near, dear. The miracle of you is that your love is true. Well, the things I do, I never have to do them blue. Because we were meant to be together, here today and forever, yeah. We were meant to be together, here today and forever. Here today and forever, yeah. We were meant to be together, together, together.
Pops right there. That was so good. What an infectious song. I got to give another shout out to Andre because I think that's my favorite bass line, part, etc. on your whole EP because it just has that Motown sound. He sounds like James Jamerson right there.
Mr. Jamerson.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
The master.
And he had a little mute on it too. It just gave it that right feel, you know. So I know Motown was a huge influence on you as a songwriter and for this song. Tell me about that influence on this particular song.
Wow. Well, it's just, yeah, it's just something in me. Made me want to dance, I guess.
That's awesome.
It's just, I mean, the other stuff is great. It's all good. It's the R&B that really makes me want to hit the dance floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like other stuff that's kind of rhythmic like this. The Curtis Mayfield, The Impressions had a song called We're a Winner.
Yep.
And the bass line on that and the chords, yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, I love that that's been a major force for you. What was the first Motown song that kind of spoke to you? Do you remember?
Well, I was just, yeah, I think it was Love Is Here and Now You're Gone. I just loved Diana Ross's vocal on that.
She was such a legend. She still is. I mean, but
like,
it's just like that era of music with the Jackson 5.
Oh, the Jackson
5. It's also just Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, the Temptations, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's like the most iconic African American influenced era of music, I think.
Quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Motown Records was the first African American owned corporation in the United States of America.
Oh wow, that wouldn't surprise me.
Started in, I think it was 1959 at Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson.
That's right. That's right.
Smokey was the right hand man.
A good friend of mine in college played Smokey Robinson in the Motown musical, and he got to meet Berry Gordy and Smokey and Stevie. And it was just like crazy to see that. It's like, this is amazing. You're playing them and then you're meeting them. That's amazing, you know.
And another thing is too that you talked about My Guy by Mary Wells, and then My Girl by the Temptations. I believe it's the next single release by the Temptations after My Girl, a song called Since I Lost My Baby. It didn't do well on the charts, but the soul in that is just the major seventh chords and the David Ruffin and
the best.
It was a David Ruffin solo song from 1975. It's called Walk Away from Love. His vocal is just otherworldly.
He's like one of my favorite singers. Yeah, I love that you're influenced by all these guys, and it's like it also sparked a movement for that very reason. What are you kind of writing now? Like, what's going on with you as a songwriter now? Are you influenced by the times presently, or things happening that are becoming inspirations for you to write?
I don't know about that. Maybe lyrically, just things like that. I'm not really a radio listener at this point, and not real high tech shall we say. And I just, I'm not really keeping up with what's going on the charts. I hear things that, I'm out and about and I hear,
of course,
at the gym or the coffee place, there's songs that are coming. There is a soul band, a retro throwback kind of, they're called, I think it's Devon Jones and the Indications.
Huh.
They had there's a soul ballad. I think Andre was saying the other day that they had an album came out in 2016 or something, and maybe one later. And they just was, I could not believe was not like an old Motown track that someone never heard.
Right.
It's just, wow.
Well, you have 4 songs out. A 5th one's coming out by the end of the year. And where can people find you? I know it's Spotify. Samuel OK is the artist name, correct?
Correct. Uh-huh.
And Samuel OK, and it's OKAYE, correct?
Correct.
And that's also your Instagram handle. So if you want to follow this guy, check out his music. Check out Samuel OKAYE on Spotify, on all major platforms, and all over Instagram as well. Thank you, Samuel, for being a guest on Wake Up Hollywood. It's been such a pleasure to produce you and also to showcase your music in this platform as well, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Nikki.
Of course.
Rock on.
Yeah, that's right. Happy holidays to everybody. And I just want to say, I want to send a big shout out and love to my bulldog. My English bulldog passed a couple days ago. And I just want to say happy holidays to everybody. And just think about this bulldog. He was the cutest little bulldog ever. So I love you, Otis. Yeah, I love you, Otis. And happy holidays to everyone. And, be safe out there on behalf of Sam, myself, and Samuel. We'll see you guys next week or next year. We'll see.
You're listening to Wake Up Hollywood with Nikki Korula and Eddie Pence, right here on LA Talk Radio.